Hi everyone!
Hey guys, we're back from Kenya, and this will be our video basically just explaining to you what that was. We have some stories.
We really tried to upload videos as we went during Kenya. We kind of wanted to keep you updated the month that we were there, but during the time we had a lot of internet connection problems.
Yeah, Wi-Fi not great.
Yeah, we were unable to upload to YouTube, so we're going to do one video right now. In the video, you'll be able to see some footage of us actually in Africa and doing different things around Kenya, and then we're also going to talk about our experiences and what you would have seen had we been able to give these videos to you.
Immediately when we got there, we were picked up by the International Medical Aid van, and they took us into Niali, which is a little part of Mombasa, and we stayed at this house that was fairly, it was a good size. There were a lot of us there, and it was Caitlin and I, and then there were 3 nursing interns the first day, and a dietitian, and then slowly more people came on, and then other people left, and it was really interesting.
Yeah, we were the only mental health workers there, so we got a really different experience than some of the other international medical aid interns, but it was really exciting. First day that we got there, we got to go to Coast Provincial General Hospital and take a tour of the hospital. That is the public hospital in Mombasa, so it's a little bit, and it's a little cheaper than the private hospital. They have a lot of different types of care in that hospital. They have emergency room from delivery, newborns, all the way to we got placed working in the Gender-Based Violence Recovery Center.
Yeah, so we walked into the center, and there are 2 full-time employees, Saida and Dixon, and they are counselors, and they switch off and on between cases. And then there's also a doctor that is in there part of the time. It's kind of touch and go. It depends on her availability, and she takes care of a lot of the examinations of the people that come in, the survivors. We take samples and blood tests and all those fun things. And then there's also an outreach coordinator who... She's amazing.
Mary.
Yeah, she's the best person ever. And we were immediately thrown into it. It was really interesting because basically a survivor would come in ranging, I worked with mostly children, and the youngest I saw was 2. And Kate worked with a ton of teens and adults, and all of them would come in just kind of looking for help, whether they were revisits from previous from reporting before or first-time visitors, and then we would just take down a lot of their basic information and make them as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, it was very overwhelming but insightful, especially because there was a language barrier. English is the native language, but they also speak Swahili. So, and a lot of the people that we met with preferred to speak in Swahili during the counseling session because they're more comfortable with that. So we had to kind of translate and pick up what we could understand, but as we went along, we definitely got better. We learned a little bit of Swahili, and we got to actually partake in some of the counseling, which was a really unique experience considering here in the United States, because of patient-client confidentiality, you cannot sit in on a counseling session, and we were allowed to actually partake even though we're not licensed, so it was a very interesting experience to get to see that.
Another really cool component about what we were doing was Mary, who we talked about a little bit before. So she coordinated outreach programs through an organization called 160 Girls that basically takes, there are different 160 Girls clubs within schools around Mombasa, and I think a lot of was it just Kenya?
There's other African countries that are participating as well.
Yeah, so basically what happens is these clubs in the schools talk about sexual defilement and rape and what to do in those cases, who to talk to, and it's just really educating the teens and the children that are in school about what to do if that situation arises, how to respond to a friend who's experienced some sort of sexual trauma. And so we would go, and they would have... the few schools that we went to would have these big presentations to their entire school, and they consisted of traditional tribal songs and dances, but also they had some boys get up and talk about sexual assault, which I think was really cool and impressive, just an interesting way to educate. And yeah, overall, it was really impressive just to see these children become more and more aware of a problem that is so prevalent all over the place. And it really made us look back at the kind of education we had in terms of this traumatic stuff, because it's not necessarily talked about. And so it definitely made us recognize the need for that kind of education, and just kind of the benefit of being so blunt about such a traumatic issue.
Yeah, and overall, just experiencing these really traumatic cases, we became heavily aware that because Kenya has a really severe sexual violence problem, and not only sexual violence, but they have a lot of other problems as well. People in Kenya go through a lot of traumatic experiences on a day-to-day basis, and they have no mental health care provided to them. Thankfully, the public hospital does have the center that we worked in, but it's one of the only mental health institutions in all of Kenya, and we really recognized that was a problem, and now we're very motivated to take what we're doing here in the United States and the progress that the United States has made in social stigma about mental health, and kind of implement that into a place like Kenya, or a little bit more of a global scale, because we recognize the need for counseling through traumatic events, and they don't have access to it. So
absolutely. And we just really think that, I mean, just being open and honest about traumatic experiences, as well as like different mental disorders and illnesses, just as Kate was saying, you know, replacing the stigma with education and knowledge that will make people feel more comfortable, and then also allow for a massive, just an influx of empathy for people, because it's so important to be able to look at a person. I mean, we experienced it within the counseling sessions. You could just tell with these people, even though we might not have been able to 100% understand some of the times, you could just read by body language the kind of trauma that they had experienced. And it was really interesting to see the kind of people who recognized, like, no, this is wrong, and I'm going to be hurting about this. But you could see people that would come in and they'd be very surprised that they're still thinking about it, or surprised that they would have nightmares about their situations, and surprised that on their 4th or 5th counseling session they weren't over it. And it was really, it was very impactful, and it was a lot, but it was really good.
Yeah, overall we learned a lot about ourselves in terms of the profession that we want to do and how we want to work with people, and we learned a lot about the fact that this whole thing is bigger than just us, like, than what we can do. It really is about starting this global initiative to create better mental health care for everyone around the world, not just locally here. It was overwhelming. Like, there were times when we really had to lean on each other and get through some of these moments, because we were dealing with very, very traumatic cases, like she said, very young children that had been abused in sexual ways, and some physical violence mixed in with that as well. There were some really hard cases, and to feel a little bit helpless in that way was hard for sure, but it was a really good learning experience, and it gave us the motivation to just want to keep doing what we're doing all the more. So Kenya was a very important experience for us.
Definitely one of the most valuable I think I have, you two, you know, have ever had in this field, and something that I know it's affected everything in terms of just response, and the amount of empathy we have for friends, and, you know, just taking things more seriously than ever. You know?
Yeah, so it was a beautiful experience. We're continuing to do everything we can in honor of our Kenya experience, and we hope to go back and re-immerse ourselves in that situation. But for now, we're taking what we can from our time in Kenya and using it as motivation to continue on this journey.
Yeah, we're so grateful to have your guys' support through it. I mean, thinking about it over and over again, because that's what we would talk about during our downtime in between seeing survivors. It would be like, oh my gosh, like, this is going to be crazy to share with people. Like the amount of influence these stories and these kids and these people can have on a person, and really start to shape how someone considers and thinks about mental health care, and the kind of just the importance of education overall was really cool. And we always talked about sharing stuff with you guys. I mean, that was a huge thing throughout the entire thing. And you'll watch, I mean, we took a lot of really cool footage. I think we have some of in the center around Mombasa. It's beautiful and so cool. And if you guys have any inquiries about like any of the traveling that we've done, whether it be like India or Kenya or wherever, please, message us and let us know, because we would love to share this information with you so that you can go out and apply. And especially if this is what you're interested in, like, holy cow, we would love, I mean, everyone needs so much help, and we would love to get you out there.
Yeah, if you want to get in contact with IMA, we'll link their website below, and if you want to know more about the individual work that we did there, and to hear a little bit more about the stories and, personal experiences, feel free to contact both of us or either of us, and we can go into more detail about the
things we saw, the things we experienced. And we might be doing in the future a couple of like individual videos based off of personal stories we think are important sharing, after some like reflection and kind of deciding what would be appropriate to share, because we do want to respect the privacy of the people that we worked with, but we also know that their stories could have a very positive impact on your viewers. So once we've kind of reevaluated and organized those thoughts, you can expect some writings or some videos in the future detailing a little bit more some of the most impressionable moments for us.
Yeah, so thanks for watching. This has been our Kenya experience, and we hope it inspires you to either want to experience something like this yourself or help someone that might be in need, like the people that we met in Kenya. They were beautiful, so thank you so much.
You guys are the best.